So the really big news, obviously, in the last 6 months was the 211 million euro grant, state aid clearance for 2D Photonics. Clearance of this very large grant will allow them to build a substantial facility to demonstrate their technology. That's playing into photonics improvements in both AI and into defense.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Frontier IP CEO Neil Crabb. Neil, very good morning. Could you start by telling us the reason for the fundraising and why now?
Yeah, so we had flagged previously that we would come back to the market to raise more money. That's to support, obviously, our ongoing operations, but also the portfolio companies that are at the key ones are at inflection points really in terms of their scale-up journey as well. And we've seen strong progress coming through there, so it's to support that. And then finally, we're expanding our activities to include a science centre in Cambridge as well, broadening the scope of the support that we provide to portfolio companies. So it's a blend of those things. As I say, it was trailed previously that we would do so, and we think at a really interesting point for the business in terms of the progress within the portfolio.
Neil, how disappointed are you by the sharp discount to the offer?
Yeah, that clearly was a disappointment, especially in the light of the very strong news that we'd seen from 2D Photonics with the large grant that we'll talk about later. I think it's reflective of generally challenging conditions, not so specific to us on the AIM market, and in particular the outflows that institutions have seen. So getting institutional support is definitely harder, irrespective of news, than normal. Our response to that is clearly that we hope we've raised enough sufficiently this time around with the progress in the portfolio that we won't need to be coming back, and that we can drive exits and realizations from the portfolio companies. And obviously we're seeing strong progress there. So that's the bit that's under our control, and that's what we'll be looking to drive.
Neil, what will you use the funds for?
So obviously to support the team that in turn are supporting the portfolio companies, and that at a time when we are seeing a range of progress, to allow us to deliver on that expansion of the science centre in Cambridge that we have previously announced, and perhaps selectively to support certain portfolio companies, although that would be the lesser use of funds. But it's essentially to allow us to drive through that portfolio we've already got to exit and realisation.
Which portfolio companies are you most focused on in terms of future milestones and realizations, Neil?
Yeah, so the really big news, obviously, in the last 6 months was the 211 million euro grant, state aid clearance for 2D Photonics, where last year we'd announced a round with Sony, Bosch, NATO, Italian Sovereign Wealth Fund investing. And that's been followed up, as I say, with this clearance of this very large grant that will allow them to build a substantial facility to demonstrate their technology. That's playing into photonics improvements in both AI and into defense. And obviously within the AI domain, there's a lot of pressure to both improve performance and bring down cost. And 2D is really focused on that interconnect between GPUs and high bandwidth memory. That is one of the major bottlenecks that's holding back, if you like, compute and cost of compute in particular within the AI domain. So we think it's got a genuinely world-leading technology, backing from tier one investors, and now very substantial state support that will allow it to deliver on that potential. I think sitting behind that, you've got Pulsiv, which is in the domain of energy efficiency, and we're all aware of the pressures that have been on the energy price, driven by electrification increasingly, so the demands that are coming from data centers, but also EVs and such like, but also the pressures on the energy price that have risen from geopolitical uncertainty as well. So anything that can be done to improve the efficiency of the power that we already use really matters, and that's absolutely where Pulsiv sits, addressing a potential market of some 8 billion plus devices. We've got the vaccine group that's had very strong results in the period in animal challenge studies. We've got Alusid that's looking to scale up. And then again, back on the cost equation, GraphEnergyTech focused on replacing silver in solar panels, which is a material contribution to cost, using graphene instead to lower the cost of solar power, which include the more you lower the cost, the more it's capable of being rolled out. And then finally, I would draw attention as well to Cambridge Raman Imaging, which is really has the potential to revolutionize the way that we determine the chemical composition and morphology of matter in a range of industrial applications.
Neil, thank you very much for your time today. I hope you'll continue to keep us updated on progress across your portfolio.
Be delighted to do so.
Neil Crabb, the CEO of Frontier IP.